Serious, what are the signs that someone is a manipulative or toxic person? Everything is always happening to them. Somehow they're never the source of the drama. Just everyone around them is totally insane. This is a good question. For me, a good clue is you'll start to feel that you're crazy around this person, because the manipulation is often extremely subtle, for the doubts or thoughts you have. And you've never felt like this before or don't feel the same with other people. Not allowing you to spend time with other people. Only contacting you in times of crisis and then demanding for all of your time. Swift mood changing when they don't get their way. Constantly blaming and shaming you for small things or things you didn't do. Edit. Holy crap, I was not expecting for this to blow up the way that it did. For all those who have replied and acknowledged that they've seen these traits in themselves, they say that that's the first step. And for those who have replied that they have been in a relationship with this person, I am so sorry that you've had the misfortune of this experience. There's power in just recognizing the signs and building up the courage to get out of that situation. Thanks for the upvote, y'all. To add on to other people's answers, keep in mind that a person doesn't have to be a full-blown psychopath or master manipulator to be a toxic person. They may simply lack the emotional intelligence to deal with disappointment. And genuinely believe that you are the arsehole for not going along with them. If someone always gets their way because they can't handle anything else, they're toxic. Don't waste time trying to fix them or you'll just get wrapped up in their bullshit. Embarrassing and belittling you in front of other people. Gaslighting you. Blaming all of their problems on everyone else. Nothing is ever their fault. They demand more respect from you than they give to you. They demand special treatment. You suddenly have the urge to say I'm sorry when you're around them. I work with a toxic person. She is known for being the center of attention until something bad happens. Then the blame goes to someone else. And she will be the first person to throw you under the bus. In her mind, the world is out to get her and it isn't fair. People who constantly use non-apologies. I.e. sorry if you thought I. Or something that implies the fault is your perception rather than their direct actions. It's not a real apology and they don't think they did jack shit wrong. I've noticed that trend with certain people. 9 times out of 10. If that's their go-to apology format, they end up being shitty people. Love bombing. Someone who slowly integrates themselves into your everyday activities. Texts you all the time but not to the point of annoyance. Convinces you to hang out with them all the time to the point you start neglecting your other friends. Paying for everything. Generally doing and saying all the right things to make you just adore them and make you think you need them. Then once they have you, the subtle insults start. Then they get more frequent. Then they get less subtle. Until your self-worth is literally in the trash and they start yelling and screaming at you for being yourself. Source. Happened to me. As a rule of thumb, if someone repeatedly tries to cross the boundaries you set, or coerce you into changing them yourself, they're probably going to be a manipulative jerk. In my opinion. This is why it's important to set some boundaries at the beginning of a relationship. Whether they be physical or emotional. Or just to hold your ground on an opinion or choice to see how the partner reacts. If they aren't respectful at the beginning of the relationship, just imagine how they'll be once they get comfortable. Bonus. 2 other red flags. From an friend loved one's perspective. 1. They can't think of or name any of the so's flaws or things they do that annoy them. 2. They've never had an argument. These are important for the long-term health of a relationship because at some point, flaws will emerge and arguments will be had. And if you don't learn how to deal with them early on, or develop bad patterns of handling them, then your ability to work through stuff later on will be compromised. Toxic people will often challenge you on how why events happened. It's either because they are deliberately trying to gaslight you, or they are so narcissistic that they've already internally rationalized the events to support their needs. Toxic people will also challenge you on your feelings. They will tell you that you don't actually feel a certain way or that you ought not to feel a certain way. They've had lots of close, intense friendships with people that they are totally out of contact with now. Toxic people tend to cycle through friends, so if they seem to have these epochs of friends that don't last, that's a bad sign. Edit to add. I'm not talking about losing touch with people as you grow older and move on with life. I'm talking about having scorched earth relationships with numerous friends and friend groups. If you find yourself asking this question, that is a sign. Seriously. Trust your gut. A lot of toxic people are experts at keeping people close to them and keeping you thinking everything is your fault. If you're starting to feel that this person is toxic, they probably are. Making you convinced that you're the manipulator crazy one to excuse their actions. Unfortunately, if they're a good manipulator, people like this delight in keeping the people around them on edge because someone who is unsure of themselves is much easier to push around. They often start small. As an example, a guy I dated for a couple of months told me that the height I said I was incorrect. He insisted I'm an inch taller than I think I am. This conversation actually happened multiple times. It probably wouldn't enter into a normal person's head to contest something like that even if the other person was in the wrong. But someone who is manipulative looks for any opportunity to get you to question yourself. The goal for them is little by little you start to question yourself and rely on the manipulative person to be your compass. I got out of the relationship because something didn't feel right, and during the breakup he actually had the balls to say that entire conversations we had never happened. Bullet dodged. In my experience, people who needle you to get you upset to make you look unreasonable. I've worked in a few toxic environments and have had some real masters of passive aggression in my life. In this case, they love to needle the hell out of you, overload you with work, and then pick at you until you react. And then it's, whoa. Why are you getting so defensive and flustered? Asterisk. FCK those people. Other kinds of manipulation include people who basically shift all social interaction and behavior to conform to their whims and desires and enforce this with emotional extremes, either anger, pouting, or self-pity. In short, if you feel like you're walking on eggshells with this person when there is no legitimate reason for you to be doing so, that person is toxic and it's time to get away. Someone who pretends to know you. I work with a woman who is hugely narcissistic. She will try and pick out your interests and start being obsessed with your interests to make sure she keeps a close relationship with you. She's very self-centered and is only self-centered to keep people close. She will say one thing about one person and ends up being wrong, but she will switch it up to make herself look right. I find it rather manipulative. Compliment insults, or complissults, if you will. Always in public. Around a group of friends, an audience. They flatter you so you'll crave more attention from them. But it's backhanded and picks on something you're probably insecure about. To everyone else, it's a compliment followed by an innocent tease. Just poking fun. But you know what's going on. And they know what's going on. Very subtle. This usually happens once you already know things are weirdo. It's a ploy for social power. Also, they'll be aggressively nice at first, bordering on what could be considered too much. But they turn around and try to embarrass you for fun in groups of friends. They use relationships with people to rise up on the social ladder. These people are always surrounded by friends. But their friend group will be completely different year to year because they can't keep anyone around that long. They have lots of former friends who are all assholes or bitches. Their current social group haven't known them that long. Toxic people can't keep friends for long. Some people can be manipulative without being assholes. I managed to manipulate a female friend into moving away to a different city so she could get away from her abusive ex. When you feel more insecure around them than anyone else yet still feel very drawn to them. When someone is constantly pointing out your flaws but wrapping it in a compliment so you can't really get mad. When you go back over conversations with that person in your mind and realize they were manipulating you and you literally had no clue at the time. To me, the most toxic people are the ones who do it so well. Listen to your close friends if they say things don't seem right. Sometimes you're too close to the situation to realize what's going on. They act differently in front of you versus their friends or co-workers. They will blame you for anything that could possibly be their fault by twisting your words to make you at fault. They demand respect, yet show little to no respect for you. They try to control your life. X. Asking questions about your whereabouts, what you're doing, etc. They always try to one-up you. X. You might say you had a hard day. They'll say something along the day they had was hard as well. Then describe why they had a worse day than you. They will always try to get the last word in an argument. Source: I was raised by a narcissist. They make you doubt yourself. You could be 100% sure that you are correct, but they will somehow make you doubt the facts. They often work on small bases of truths and exaggerate them. It must make it easier for them to remember their lies. They will make you feel like you owe them. They've done you a little favor? My God. They will hold it against you forever. They put themselves on a pedestal. They can do no wrong, while everything you say or do is wrong. They will make you feel like you are crazy. They don't tell you when they're upset. They just imply it and give you cold shoulders until you ask them and cater to them. Also, if they do this but then invalidate you when you are upset. Anyone who says I like to FCK with people, no I'm joking probably isn't joking and probably loves manipulating. Anytime their friend, family member, or partner uses the word let in the context of the things they can and cannot do, this typically excludes minor children. Though. Example: he won't let me wear tampons because he wants to be the only thing inside me. Yes, I've actually heard this. Or she lets me hang out with my friends on Wednesday. If you're in a healthy, loving, committed relationship with someone, including platonic ones with friends, then there is no need to ask permission to do something. The trust is there. If they're letting you do something, the implication is that they have the power to tell you not to. That's a problem. I hate when people say things to me like, oh, your husband lets you do this? No. My husband doesn't let me do anything. We're adults. He's not my father. He won't let me wear tampons because he wants to be the only thing inside me.